Welcome back to the Fantasy Hockey Podcast. It's time to talk about the worst. I mean, we really did leave the worst for last year. This California division, Pacific division, whatever we're calling this, I guess, is brutal. Truly.
It's not good.
There is not a lot of fantasy relevance here. I mean, the Ducks. Bleh.
There's 3 good teams.
The Kings.
And 5 bad teams.
Minnesota Wild. Bleh. The Sharks. Who knows? But they're goaltending. What the hell? And then you got the Blue. Yeah, you got the Blues, the Avalanche, and the Knights. I wonder who will make the playoffs from this one. I wonder. Although I would say the Sharks are probably on my list of like surprises if anyone was going to surprise here.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
like they could, I think, potentially surprise if it came down to
if
it.
they find a goalie that can stop pucks like literally at all.
Yes.
They might be able to find a way in.
Maybe. But they picked up Dubnyk, so I don't think they actually are hoping to stop pucks this season.
I don't know what's going on over there.
I think they've given up. That's it. They've completely given up. I think that's what it is. Anyways, also, if you don't already, you should follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Hockey PD. Yep, Fantasy Hockey and then PD like police department. It was a joke about Bob a long time ago, and then Bob died, and now we pretend like that's not why we did it. We actually are just very clever. And actually, it was because podcast doesn't fit. We couldn't think of what letters worked, and we said,
Pod also does not fit.
Pod also does. Yeah, we thought about Fantasy Hockey Pod. It didn't fit. So it's Fantasy Hockey PD now. So that's great.
It'll never be good.
It'll never be good. Anyways, this is the last of the division previews. So what's coming up next? We're going to do some drafts. So if you don't subscribe to us on YouTube, you might be watching this on YouTube. But if you're not on YouTube, you should be. We are doing some live streams of drafts this weekend. I'll be putting up some videos of drafts that we do this weekend. I'll be doing a points league draft, a keeper league draft. Those will be going up this weekend, most likely Friday and Saturday. Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff coming up. We're going to do a best ball strategy video and podcast episode to walk you through kind of what to do in best ball. And Underdog Fantasy has a tournament that they're running at the moment. So definitely check that out. You can see their Twitter at underdogfantasy.com or go to your app store and look up Underdog Fantasy. Best ball is a lot of fun. No benches is a huge, huge win. Or at least
there is a bench, but it's automatic.
There's a bench, but it's all automatic, best players in. So it just makes your life so much easier. Anyways, let's jump into the Anaheim Ducks here, who make our lives a lot easier because really they have no fantasy relevant players pretty much at all, except for John Gibson.
Yeah. My take on this team is it might be the only team in the entire league where no skaters is drafted. Like, often no skaters drafted.
Yeah, usually.
That means no forwards, no defense, nobody. Like, none of them are in the ADP range to be drafted in most leagues.
No.
Which is insane. I don't think I've ever seen that. Like, we were talking about how Jersey's undraftable, but at least Palmieri was around.
Yeah. I mean, and then Palmieri is now slated on the second line. I don't like that second line. I mean, I don't like either line, but I really don't like that second line.
He's getting taken in more than half of any 10 or 12 person league.
Fair.
Here at the Ducks, nobody is being taken in more than half of the leagues. It's really just wild.
It's not good. And I mean, there's really 2 skaters to talk about, and that's it. There's Ryan Getzlaf, who I like quite a bit, especially in hits leagues, blocks leagues especially. I think in hits and blocks leagues, he holds quite a bit of value.
Pim.
And Pims. He gets Pims. He didn't do terrible. I mean, he didn't do terrible in the points department last year.
He's a shell of his former self.
He did do terrible last year.
He
got
sure
40
it's going to get
points.
worse this season.
It's only going to get worse, I think. And there's other young guys that are going to be vying for a spot. He's going to play less minutes, I think. Yeah, not huge on Getzlaf, to be honest, for the season. Someone to put on your watch list, though, because he could be a flyer on certain good weeks. Like if you need Pims or you need hits or something, like he could fill a little bit of a hole for you. And then there's Ricky Rax, who I'll let you take because you love him. Can you tell him we're really excited to talk about the Anaheim Ducks?
I mean, we're not going to be talking about it for very long, but
no.
I still think Ricky Rax is an option. He's a good shooter, good hitter. That's going to be like pretty hard to find late. The problem is, it's difficult to say what his upside actually is with the team that bad, and with the fact that he's never really been able to put things together on the power play. So I've been notoriously high on him this whole time. At this point, like a late round flyer maybe, but definitely not a long-term hold. I also like that he is triple eligible, center, left wing, right wing. It's a nice little bonus.
It's about the only thing he's got going for him.
His hits and shots
also,
are good.
by the way, he is not triple eligible on Yahoo anymore.
Oh, he's not triple
center? He is just left wing, right wing now. Yep.
That's fine still. It's multi-eligible, I guess. Yeah. Fine, whatever.
I
think on Fantrax he's still triple forever.
Yeah, I think so. The other guy I know we'll get questions about is Kevin Shattenkirk.
No.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
think so.
He
I
couldn't.
mean-
He was on Tampa last year and couldn't. He only put together 7 power play points.
Well, that's not surprising, right? Like, who's going to take it over? Sergachev?
Wasn't
or
he-
Hedman?
but he was top-
It was
he
a
was
tough,
top for it.
tough ask.
Well, he was top for a bit while Hedman was at, right?
I don't know. He played it a couple of times. It wasn't definitely not long term. The fact that he
not
got
long
7 is actually kind of a good thing
Kind
to
of
me.
impressive.
But
a
I think
little bit,
I don't know. I mean, I expect
How
nothing
about-
from him. I wouldn't draft him, but if I'm in a super deep league and I'm desperate, maybe he puts something together and gets like 12 power play points. I don't know.
You know, I
mean,
could.
that might be harder to or better than you'll be able to find elsewhere from the D spot that deep. But
You know, wow. I mean, I'm just looking at like the point getters on the Ducks. And the highest point getter was Adam Henrique with 43 points.
he had a streak of being. We had him in the cupful for a while,
We did.
keeping Carlson in Patreon league.
Jeez.
That's a pretty
I mean,
deep
that's
league,
just
though, so that
brutal.
makes sense. But I think the real thing, if we're going to talk about Anaheim at all, is John Gibson.
Yeah, that's the only thing to talk about on Anaheim.
He's going in the 150s of ADP. I think in standard cats, win, save percentage, goal against average, and shutouts, that's fine, actually. I don't know. Like, I don't know what more you could really expect from him in those leagues. It's just the only upside you can give him is that everybody else in this league or in this division, other than the 3 good teams, are so bad that Anaheim has a legitimate shot to do something.
Yeah.
If that even if that just means winning a few games here and there. But
I mean,
in points leagues and in saves leagues, Gibson rises in value substantially.
Yeah.
Although the signing of Ryan Miller does depress him a little bit compared to when he had Stolarz backing him up. But yeah, I picked him up in a really save heavy points league recently, pretty early actually. But it's a really goalie skewed league.
we also grabbed him in listener leagues. If you've been
We
watching
did.
the streams or the
We
videos,
have
we
him
grabbed
one.
Gibson. I think we have him 2, no? Or just 1? No, we have Bob in 2.
We have 2 Bobs and 1 Gibson.
2 Bobs,
It
1
seems
Gibson.
like we're
That's
always
our
between the
ideal.
two.
Yeah. So far, we've been doing a top goalie and a Gibson or a Bob. And we keep getting Bob in like the 12th round or something stupid. So
We're
we
not even
just
trying to
can't
get top
help
goalies. It seems like they just fall into our lap.
Yeah, they do. They just keep falling into our lap. I mean, Vasilevsky fell into our lap at 8. Hellebuck fell into our lap at, what was it, 12 or
was later than
13?
that. I don't know
It was
when it was.
13. No, we got Hellebuck 13. Then we got Binnington in
No,
one of
no,
them. Yeah, we got Hellebuck at 13. And then Binnington at 1 point fell into our lap too. So what can we say? Anyways, that's Anaheim. Let's move on to another team with, honestly, my lord, like just nothing to talk about. And that's the Arizona Coyotes.
Yep.
Oh,
We had
boy.
to take. We didn't have to, but we did take Keller as our very last pick from the very last spot.
And he will be dropped. I
Yeah,
can guarantee it.
It felt bad. I don't like him.
I can guarantee we'll drop him if we find someone better.
Yeah, that team is. It's almost the same as Anaheim, except people still draft OEL.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, OEL's okay.
OEL's
Considering you're getting him
garbage.
late, like he's whatever. He's fine.
OEL's garbage.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
he
not
was
that- okay, he's not-
overrated for a while, but now he's getting in an ADP where maybe it makes sense, like the 140 area.
Maybe.
So,
I mean,
but- and
OEL,
he does have pretty good peripherals. He hits a lot.
decent peripherals. Yeah, terrible
Blocks
points.
are
Arizona, just nothing happens good in Arizona. I don't know why Yahoo has Phil Kessel projected for like 21 power play points. I
me
just
neither.
don't see it happening. I don't see it happening at all.
You know, one
there's
player
really
that
nothing.
I'm actually have my eye on. Not that I think this goes anywhere, but is Connor Garland. I think he might be the only player that can make an impact totally off the board this season.
Maybe.
Not
Left wing,
that I
right
would
wing.
draft him, but just somebody that like we've seen him go on stretches before, and he never is given like really any ice time.
Yeah.
So potentially, if they give him ice time, maybe he can do something.
Along that same vein, I mean, I am a little bit excited to see Nick Schmaltz. In a points league specifically, it's the only reason I would never draft him. But I would pay attention to him because he will have top line, top power play most likely this year. And he only played 15 minutes last year. Did pretty well in those 15 minutes. Of course, had a ridiculously high shooting percentage. But it actually came down to normal by the end of the year. He only got 11 goals, but he did have 34 assists, which is kind of crazy. But I think it's someone to watch. He could be the breakout guy for Arizona this year. That's not saying a lot because it's Arizona. Not even Taylor Hall could break out. But if you got to pick one, I'd maybe go with Schmaltz. And that's kind of it. Even Jacob Chikrin, I'm not huge on, honestly. I
I've
don't
just been
like.
sadly shaking my head during your whole time talking about Nick Schmaltz.
I know. I mean, look,
I
I
also
gotta say
don't think he
something.
plays top center because he sucks at faceoffs.
I think
So-
he's now gonna. I think he's slated to play on the top. Is he not?
I don't
Who else
know,
are they
man.
gonna put?
That team is
they
such
traded
a mess.
Stepan.
Yeah, I know, but he can't play center. He's like a 30% draw guy. He's terrible.
They have him left wing right now. That's why. They
That
have
makes more sense.
They have Schmaltz top left wing, Christian Dvorak middle, Connor Garland top right wing. Oh my God, that is a terrible top line.
Still Garland. I don't know. Anyway,
According to Daily
I also
Faceoff,
have
fun
hope for
fact.
Chikrin, but I also don't know that this year will be it, or any year, considering what Arizona's done to themselves.
Fun fact: that top line of Schmaltz, Dvorak, and Connor Garland is, according to Daily Faceoff, the worst first line in the entire National Hockey League. Fun fact.
Sweet.
Very exciting. Okay, the goaltenders, Darcy Kemper and Antti Ranta, fine. I expect Darcy Kemper to get the majority of starts here. But I don't know, actually. I mean, they pretty much split time last year. Darcy Kemper played 1750.
Concerns.
Yeah, 1750 minutes. Antti Ranta played 1800 minutes. Why I'm telling you this in minutes, I don't know. But here you are. From the games played,
minutes.
well, that too. But Darcy Kemper played 29 games. Antti Ranta played 33. Kind of interesting.
Yeah,
of course.
Somehow I remember Darcy playing more, but
Yeah, I know. Same. A lot of injury risk on both. I mean, they both had unbelievable save percentages. 921 for Antti Ranta, 928 for Darcy Kemper. Just insane. So they're
it's a
both good
system
options.
for them. Just a bad system for fantasy and for watching.
Bad system. I will say, I don't hate them as a tandem. But
No, I like them in save percentage goal against average leagues. They feel
Yes.
similar to drafting the Islander duo, but again, I feel like anytime I'm comparing some tandem to the Islander duo, I'm like, why am I not just going after the Islander duo because they're all later?
here would be my argument of why I like the Arizona tandem more than the Islander tandem because of the division. I think that the Isles have a much more difficult division than the Coyotes do. I think, for example, the Ducks are going to have trouble scoring, the Kings are going to have trouble scoring, the Wild will probably have trouble scoring, and then there's the Sharks who also probably have trouble scoring. So, and you're the Coyotes who already are good at suppressing kind of offense. So, and you're in a crappy division like this, like I think that Darcy Kemper and Antti Ranta could just have a field day, especially for averages leagues. So that's the only reason I'd rather have the Arizona tandem is because of
They cost a lot more, though.
They do cost a lot.
At
Well,
least
Antti
Darcy
Ranta, I
does.
think, is going essentially.
Yeah,
Ranta's getting pretty much undrafted, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, you could get Kemper.
Get a mixed bag. Get Varlamov and Ranta. There you go.
Yeah, get Varlamov and Ranta, and then get maybe no starts. Who knows?
Get the reverse.
Oh, so
I guess it's not even a tandem. It's just two
so
starters. Sort of.
what if Corey Schneider is the tandem
come
for?
on. I can't believe he's even being signed. But
I know I can't.
We don't
believe
need
he's
to go
signed.
there now.
No, we don't need to go there. Anyways, let's move on to an actually good team, the Colorado Avalanche. Not a lot to talk about. I mean, Burakovsky is the big one that everyone's talking about right now because of the fact that he was slated top line with McKinnon and Rantanen. The big loser here is Gabriel Landeskog, who is right now on second line, second power play. That is just brutal. When, granted, I don't think he had that great of a season last year, honestly.
Yeah.
He
I do
had
think
a
that
bit of trouble.
I do think that Burakovsky's interesting in that his new deployment, and Landeskog is obviously hurt, but I really don't think it lasts that long. The larger concern I have, and this is a concern I had with Landeskog last season, is we just don't know. Like, he's not a lock. Neither one of them are, but Burakovsky is obviously a lot less risky. But the fact that Landeskog is still going basically at the end of the third or so, 36 ADP area, I don't like that at all. In fact, I think he and Rantanen are like borderline bust territory with how high they're going.
I mean, Rantanen, especially just with the shots alone, he doesn't shoot.
Yeah. 15.2 for him. That's like very early second in a 12-person league. There's just better options. There's more reliable options, especially because we don't, they need to be glued to McKinnon.
Yeah.
And McKinnon, like, we don't need to discuss him, do we? He's a top 4 picks anywhere in any league.
McKinnon's
some
obvious.
Combination of Draisaitl, McDavid, Ovi, and McKinnon in most leagues. Ovi probably falls off a bit, and it's really a 3-horse race in like point-heavy points leagues. But I don't really see who else even factors in. So what do you talk about him? He shoots a lot. He gets goals.
Yeah,
good for him.
That's pretty much it. That is Nathan McKinnon. Now, if you move on to and there's honestly, aside from that, not really much to talk about on the forward side.
I have really Nazem Kadri in here because I think we'll get some questions.
Oh yeah, he does get picked up quite a bit. I mean, he's good.
You're hoping for him to have a postseason performance again.
Yeah,
he
pretty
was
much
nuts in the postseason. I think more realistically, we see the same kind of regular season where he puts up like okay shot numbers.
Yeah.
He gets a power point here or there, just enough to keep you interested, even though he's not really getting enough. And then he gets some hits.
Yeah.
So he's fine.
That's pretty much what you're expecting is some shots. I mean, he didn't even hit that much last season, honestly. He got 61 hits in 51 games.
Yeah, so you'll get
Not that good.
Yeah.
It's fine.
More than a hit a game is at least a guy that hits at that point.
Sure. I mean, if we're talking about peripheral guys that work on Colorado, Ryan Graves is the first one I look at on defense. Hits, blocks, and shoots. I mean, you gotta love Ryan Graves. He's pretty much draftable in every league that counts, shots on goal and hits this season, in my opinion. Not gonna get you power play points, so you are gonna sacrifice that. But especially if you're in a blocks league, I mean, I'd be prioritizing Ryan Graves for sure. He is, especially if he can get more minutes. I mean, he only played 18 and a half minutes, about 19 minutes last year. If he can get more than that this year, you're looking at quite a big increase in opportunities for peripherals. So that's what I'm hoping for Ryan Graves. If he can increase his minutes by a minute or two, you're going to see those blocks, shots, and hits go up quite a bit, is what I'd expect. So I do like Ryan Graves. And then also,
I know the obvious defense to talk about is Cale Makar, though.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Devontae's.
Right. The nice thing is that it seems like people are listening.
Yeah.
He's falling. He's 32.7 now, ADP.
Yeah.
He used to be 24 when we talked about him a week ago.
I'd argue in our listener leagues, he's actually fallen too far.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's kind of the difference between a Cats. Like, it's hard to take any point-heavy defenseman, the Cale Makars, even the Torrey Krugs, those types of guys in Cats leagues especially Cats leagues with blocks, because where are you going to get your blocks from? They have to be from defensemen for the most part. There's a couple weird forwards we can get them from, but if you're going point-heavy defensemen in Cats leagues, you're opening yourself up.
But here's the thing. In the one we live streamed last night, when we're recording this on January 4th, we live streamed one on Sunday on the 3rd. Torrey Krug went before him. Quinn Hughes went before him. Yeah. And there were a few other defensemen that went before him.
Hughes I could hear the argument for. Krug, yeah. I don't know about that one, but
I don't know about Krug before him.
Yeah.
He just went really late. I couldn't believe, and in all of them, I've kind of felt like, wow, that's actually a big fall for Cale Makar. And there's been 2 drafts now that we've done where we've been like, wow, if Makar gets back to us, we have to take him. Even though, he has his issues. It's just been like, wow, how is he still there? And we've been at the end of the turns. In our last 2 listener league drafts, we were at 1 and 12. So it's hard. You have to wait quite a bit for him to get back to you. But every time we were like, how is he still there? So he's the other one. And then I know we'll get questions about Devontae's because he has such good underlying numbers. There's just place him on a watch list if it makes you feel good, but there's nothing there.
Yeah, he doesn't matter.
He doesn't matter. And then there's the goaltenders. It's Grubauer's net. Francouz had a terrible postseason.
I think they're almost going to be. I think they're going to be very close to just one after the other.
Is Grubauer injured again, or is he just delayed because of visa issues? He suffered a groin injury.
I feel like everybody. It's hard to tell what's going on with anybody. They're just being unfit to play for whatever reasons. But I'm the
injury reporting during this preseason has been atrocious.
Yeah, we've got no idea what's happening.
God, it's so bad.
Everybody's day to day.
Yeah, it is.
Or NA or whatever.
Awful. But anyways, yeah, I like Grubauer and Francouz. I think the thing I don't like about them is that, like you said, I have no idea who's the starter. I have no idea if they're going to split. I have no idea if one of them could steal the net. I don't know what their plan is. We know they like Francouz. They re-signed him. Grubauer was shaky. They've both been shaky at times. Like, I don't know, man. I love Colorado. They're going to get you a lot of wins. And then again, like last season, they had a pretty good save percentage. Francouz had a 9.23. Grubauer had a 9.16. And they actually got a lot of saves because Colorado lets in a lot of shots. So they are really good options. But it's going to be, you can't count on either one for volume. Like in the sense of ARA starter. You just can't. Which kind of sucks. Okay, well, that's Colorado.
Move on to the LA Kings.
Oh boy, yep, let's do it.
I have written here stinky no goalies. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that, but it's very true.
I mean, it's very clear what you were thinking.
I mean, Pettersson. Like, I'm not saying Pettersson's a bad goalie. I'm just saying, like, who's drafting either of these guys right now?
Isn't it Peterson?
Like, quick, if you absolutely are desperate for any starter anywhere in like the end of times, but. Besides
I think it's
that,
Calvin.
I don't.
Isn't it Peterson?
Oh yeah, probably. Now I'm gotten too used to Elias.
I know, gotten so used to Pettersson.
Man, look at that.
I know, look at that. Congratulations. I think that it's more of a split this season. I think it'll be about 50-50.
I think it'll be. I don't know.
I
don't
think
it'll be
Peterson
quite
could steal
50-50,
starts,
but
though.
I think it'll be closer to. I think Quick will get majority, but not by much.
Really? I think Peterson
Yeah.
could get majority. I mean, Peterson had a 9.22 in only 8 starts.
Right. So
Still pretty good.
What'll happen is they'll keep
Quick is
playing
so
Quick,
bad.
and then he'll eventually hurt himself because he's 100 now, and his limbs just fly off.
He is
of
100.
his body. So
We established ages offline on the podcast before this episode. We established that Mark Stone is 30. Jonathan Quick is 100. Turbo is 10. And then PD and Konechny were born yesterday. So those are
Yeah.
the FHP ages that we're going off of in case you're doing a dynasty league. That's essentially what we come down to. Wow, we really are not able to stay on focus with these teams, are we? They're just so brutal. Yeah, the goalies just
that said,
suck.
I think
Stay away.
I think there are a couple.
Forwards, yeah.
There's some value
There's
you can find
stuff
on the
here.
Kings.
There's stuff.
Anze Kopitar at 136.4
Great value.
is like that's good value for cats. It's about
Yes.
right for cats. It's great value for a points league.
Yeah, incredible. I got him last year at around the same exact place, and he finished top 50 in my points league. Like,
Yeah.
Kobe at that price is
He's, like, actually
phenomenal.
good. I feel like
he got
people forget
21
how good
power play
Kopitar
points
is.
last season. 21 power play
People just
points.
forget.
People always forget. I mean, he did have a very high shooting percentage. I'll give him that. He shot at about 15.5%. It was a little high. So that's the one thing I'd watch for. But 21 power play points. And then on defense, there's Drew Doughty. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in
Always
Cats
great in
leagues.
bangers leagues. Yeah.
Great for bangers leagues. And then you got Dustin Brown, also great
Yep.
for bangers leagues. And actually,
Yep. Shoots and hits.
decent point option too, honestly, because he shoots so much. With those shots, he gives you a pretty good floor. And the hits as well. If you count both shots on goal and hits in your points league, it gives you a decent floor. It sucks that he doesn't get more power play points. But he does get the points at even strength. So there's something there. And then aside from that, honestly, like, I follow in a deep league, sure. I mean, not a terrible option. The other thing I like about Dustin Brown, actually, going back to that, is right wing this year feels extra shallow for some reason.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find right wingers. And almost always I find myself coming to Dustin Brown and saying, wow, that guy's really good still. And just kind of
Feels
fits
like
a lot
right
of what I
wing
need.
are all declining old dudes that hit people.
Yes.
Like it's Dustin Brown, it's Kyle Palmieri, it's Alex Radulovich, Patrick Hornquist. They're all the same guy.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. But yeah, that's your right.
That's where we
wings.
are.
Everyone in the entire league, I just listed them, and they're all
That's
the
where we
same
are.
person. Speaking of right wings, actually, there's one more that I think, again, not somebody I would draft, but somebody I'm paying attention to is Jeff Carter. He got like about a hit a game last season. He shot more than 3 times a game, which is really hard to find that deep. And he had a horrible, horrible shooting percentage. So if we saw him get top power play and just keep shooting like that, he could be okay. I don't know. I mean, he's somebody I'm going to watch. I picked him up a couple times at various times last season when he was starting to streak a little bit, but probably a streamer option and not much more.
Oh, boy. So now we go on to Minnesota.
I also don't think any of the young players will do much on the Kings. If anybody's
No,
wondering.
I don't think Quinton Byfield's making the team, by the way, for those who want us to talk about him.
But yeah, but Velarde either.
Velarde, yeah. I mean, they already pretty much said that Byfield won't be making the team without saying as much. Okay, so the Minnesota Wild. They are brutal, honestly. This is just...
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
They are the team of no centers.
So here goes the top line as of right now in Minnesota out of practice today in the morning. Zach Parise on the left. Fine. Nick Bjugstad, top center.
I don't get that.
That's so bad. And then Kirill Kaprizov on the right wing. Terrible top line. I like that for Kaprizov, actually. It gives them some opportunity.
They don't have a
but
center that makes any line sound good.
no, exactly.
Like,
They
Benino's an okay center. I'll give him that much.
Yeah.
And then Eriksson Ek is also an okay center, but
Yeah.
none of them are like, wow, I like hearing that they're centering my scoring wingers. Like none
Same.
of them.
By the way, Fiala, second wing. Second right wing. Not great. He is top power play, but second right wing.
Yeah.
Oh, and Kirill Kaprizov, if you like him, top line, but second power play. That being
Yeah,
said,
I don't know how much I think about the power play or deployment at the moment, but
yeah, it
I
does
do
make me
think
like Fiala
Kaprizov-
less.
What was that?
It does make me like Fiala a little bit less.
It does. I honestly I don't know if we know. There seems to be a lot of overreacting about what we saw from basically like 30 games of Fiala playing well. and I don't know yet.
Yeah,
That
I don't
said,
know if I
his
buy-
ADP is like 100, which feels like fine range to be taking a stab at a guy like him. So whatever. Kaprizov, I also like to take 14th or later round or so.
He's probably
As
my
the highest upside rookie, I think.
yeah. He's probably my
Highest
favorite
upside
rookie.
skater. So not including Shesterkin and Sorokin and those guys.
Yeah. I like him more than Lafreniere.
Yep. I like him more than
like Jack Hughes, Capo Caco,
Stutzla. There we go.
Stutzla. Yeah, I think Kaprizov would be my gamble if I was gambling on a guy here this year.
Yep. And we've picked him up in the listener league maybe twice, maybe just once.
I think maybe twice, maybe once. We did pick up a guy that we picked up on the defense that I think is a kind of a sleeper actually. Is Matthew Dumba.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot.
He obviously, like, people were really high on him last season, us included, or at least me included.
Yeah.
I think we drafted him like the 7th or 8th in most leagues last season. Now you can get him at the end of the draft. And he's still like, I mean, Minnesota's power play is so who knows what's happening. It's hard to really gauge anything on it, but
sucks.
He's a good all-purpose defenseman that has point upside. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that same thing kind of goes for Jared Spurgeon. They're very similar.
Yeah. They also are both on the top power play at the moment.
Yeah.
So
I would I think Spurgeon's the better player in real life. I think Dumba has the higher fantasy upside.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, last season, Dumba was on a 29-point pace. Spurgeon was on a 42-point pace. With essentially similar deployment and everything, like.
I know. I don't know. I'm holding out hope. Hope that we see what we were expecting from Dumba at some point.
I respect that from you, sir, that you're able to hold out hope on someone like Spurgeon. And, I mean, someone like Dumba. I mean, we picked him up. I don't hate it. He does get good blocks, even though Spurgeon blocks more. He does hit more. He gets better hits. He does get better hits, which helped our team composition at the time much more. He also shoots way more than Jared Spurgeon, which helps. And then the other guy on defense to think about is Ryan Suter. Fine, gets you a lot of assists, has an opportunity at power play points.
Like him more in points leagues.
Yeah, like him way more in points leagues. I think he might be
nothing else. Really.
Maybe a little bit of a sleeper, honestly, in points leagues. I feel like he always kind of gets slept on, but he was on a 57-point pace last year and got 18 power play points. That's good. And he got a lot of blocks. Like, he's not a terrible option in points league. He just doesn't get you as many shots or hits or anything like that. So he's mostly a power play point and kind of shot guy first and foremost.
Block, not shot.
Oh, block guy. Yes, block. You're right. And then there's the goaltenders. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust Cam Talbot. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I mean, they made Devin Dubnyk look pretty good for a little bit. So
they did. I mean, for what it's worth, Dom likes Talbot this season.
Yeah.
Why? I don't actually completely get it. I should probably go read his thing and figure it out because I'm not 100% sure why. But he does. I know he likes Talbot quite a bit, and I'm not entirely positive. I mean, he did get a 919 last season in Calgary. So, not saying a lot. I mean, that's Calgary. He's now in Minnesota.
He must just like the Minnesota defense and goalie system, I guess.
For what it's worth, I mean, Alex Stalock last season played 38 games with them, and he got a 910. So...
yeah, Stalock is not good.
And Stalock's not great, but I mean, is Talbot that much better than Stalock?
I don't know.
I don't
feel
think
like Talbot
so.
always plays his best when he's playing half a season or less.
That's true.
As opposed to more.
Yeah.
So he's a weird situation where like I like him less the more volume he gets.
Yeah. One thing I will say is I think they face a lot of shots. So sort of. So Stalock faced on average 26 shots a game. So he does get, it's not a ton. It's a little bit more towards just the average side. So not even the volume is really there that much. So, I don't know. Talbot got more. He averaged 27.8 shots, so around 28 shots in Calgary. So actually going in a decrease there. So anyways, let's move on to the next team here, the San Jose Sharks. What do you have written down on your sheet over there for the San Jose Sharks this season?
I think we kind of touched on this earlier, but I said I think San Jose is better than they're given credit for.
I'd agree with that.
I feel like they've been so just like totally harpooned by their by their goalies rather. more than anything. I mean, their defense isn't super either, but it's really like the goaltending that just can't bail them out of anything.
Yeah.
But they've got a lot of pieces that you'd think maybe they can do something with them. You know, Tomas Hertl, he's sitting at 133 ADP, which feels, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
no, I don't like
at that point, I guess you're gambling anyway, so maybe you could do that. We've got Evander Kane. What's to say about him? We love Evander Kane.
If you're new here, we love Evander Kane. We are the biggest Evander Kane support. Evander Kane, if you're listening to this, I love you.
He will never last past a third round of a listener league until he like retires or something.
No, people, if it's not us picking him up early, someone else is. But seriously though, I mean, he is a monster in peripherals leagues. It's just insane. And on top of that, he's got power play point upside. I took him last year early, or I wanted him at least early last year in my keeper league, which just has no PIMs. It's just goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits, and blocks. And he was still worth it. He still finished top 30. Like, that dude's just a monster.
Yep.
He covers everything for you.
Yeah, he's great. I would love to see his points increase a bit, but what are you going to do?
One might say, is Evander Kane the greatest fantasy hockey player to ever live? And I wouldn't say no.
I think Ovechkin might slap you in the mouth, but besides that...
Ovechkin, in this universe, Evander Kane is top dog. Ovechkin just sits next to his throne. So...
Logan Couture, I think, is one of the other players to talk about on forwards. I don't know what he seems like he's just on a decline already, and I don't know that he's really going to recover. I don't like either of the centers all that much, honestly. And we've got Timo Meier.
Timo is a sleeper to me. I think people are sleeping on Timo a lot.
Yeah, I basically I have here. I'd said Timo is basically a Svechnikov with more hits and less points.
Wow, we're really liking this. We're really liking the comparisons this year, huh?
I guess, but I mean, he's a guy that's going to put up a lot of shots, a lot of hits. He's going to get some points, and he has upside. He didn't get anywhere near meeting what people hoped last season, which seems to happen after a young guy gets on their first breakout season. People expect double that on the next season, but not there. But now you can get him later and still get a good floor with peripherals, and then potentially more out of him.
He did still score 22 goals last season.
Yeah, but he's capable of scoring way more than that.
I agree.
His best year in the league, he'll score at least 30. I think 35 is pretty reasonable.
I want to see him get more minutes. He got 17 and a half last season. I want to see more than that this season.
That's more than Svech, for what it's worth. But
yeah, it is. It is more than Svech. He's shot more than Svech, just barely. But yeah, I think ultimately, to me, Timo is a big ceiling guy too. I mean, if he were to click, let's say everything works perfectly for him, he'd be a monster in any Cats league, right? And if he doesn't work out, I mean, he still gives you so many shots and so many hits that he kind of works out for you anyways. I mean, the fact that he went 22-27 last year, goals and assists, not bad. It's not terrible. So he still offers something, and I think the fact that, what's his ADP right now?
I'm not sure, actually. I think it's like 90 or 100.
That's a steal to me. I think Timo, to me, in a standard Yahoo Cats, ignoring plus minus, is more of a top 50 guy. At minimum, I feel like. That's who Timo Meier will be. But he's going, hundreds. So if you can get him in like the 70s, that seems like a pretty good steal to me. He's not going in that in our listener leagues, obviously, because everyone knows about him. But in your home league, maybe you can, swipe him up. Then I guess the defense here to talk about.
Oh, I've got one.
Oh, you got one more for. Okay.
Yeah, and that's we're all over LeBanc now, right? I feel like last season I had to argue with everybody on the planet that LeBanc is not going to be like a huge breakout candidate or anything, or that at least I didn't expect him to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't put a lot of faith or anything into what plus minus represents.
Yeah.
But he was minus 33 in 70 games. So things,
that's not good.
That's more than a coincidence at that point,
yeah.
I think.
I think at that point you're trying to get minuses, honestly.
Yeah,
he's
scoring on his own goal or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Probably.
I look, I don't think he's that bad, but I think did he get overrated real quick for some reason.
I agree. He got 56 points the year before, shot at 13%. He dropped down to 8% shooting this last year, so he's a little bit overcorrected. But even if he corrects back to normal, He's like a 45 point guy, 45, 50 point guy on a normal season. This is not very impressive. So then, of course, the defenseman you all want us to talk about, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, really just not worth it. Doesn't really do anything anywhere else. And then I guess the defenseman that everyone kind of doesn't really care if we get to is Erik Karlsson. What we think about with him. He's a
his
really
ADP is
tough
83 right now.
Yeah.
In all the drafts we've done, he's slid past that, believe it or
Yes.
not. I think
I
he could be worth it, honestly. He
sometimes,
could be.
though,
He's just risky.
I will say this. Guys who tend to slide like Erik Karlsson to me in our listener leagues normally mean they'd go at value or above, I think, in like a house league with some less knowledgeable people because they'll see the name Erik Karlsson and be like, oh my God, I need to get him.
I mean,
He's so
I
good,
still
right?
see the name Erik Karlsson. I'm confused why I haven't taken
Same.
him yet. But
I mean, it's
we almost took him in one of the. We almost took him in the last league because he fell to like 100 something, and we were like, if he's still there, like we're deep enough into this draft. You know, we're talking we're probably in the 9th round or something. It's like we could gamble on an upside guy like Karlsson at that point.
Can I think actually one interesting thing here, he is an absolute steal in points leagues.
Yeah.
Did you know that
Sounds
he
right.
outpaced Brent Burns in points last year?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Erik Karlsson was on pace for 59 points. Brent Burns was on pace for 53. So in points leagues...
What's interesting is I think Brent Burns is actually... He feels undervalued right now at 55 ADP. That seems, you know...
I don't know about
there's
that.
a group of defensemen. Oh, I definitely think that. Yeah, he had a bad year, but he still is a monster as far as shots. He hits a good amount, and his upside is crazy. He's only a year removed from a point per game season.
Yeah.
I get he's old, but I still think, and he double shifts on the power play. If anybody's gonna get points, he should be it.
He actually outblocked. Burns outblocked Karlsson last year, pace wise.
That's weird.
Very weird. I know. Interesting. I think that's what happens when your team is on the defense the entire time.
Yeah, I've got like a group of defensemen I like pretty close to each other. I wouldn't say they're like, I have a ranking in my head, but I feel like they're pretty close.
Yeah.
Like I think even Dougie and Burns, I feel like pretty close. Yossi's the only one that I really have like head and shoulders above just about everybody at this point.
I think my order is Karlsson. I think I said this on the last episode, but I like Karlsson, Yossi, Dougie, and then I forget who I said fourth. It should be obvious to me. Maybe Burns. Maybe I said Burns. I don't remember. But those are my top three: is Karlsson, Yossi, and
Hedman probably.
Hedman. There you go. Yeah, Hedman at 4, and then 5. I think is kind of a toss up between like a Burns or a Pionk or whatever. So that's why I like Burns. I don't know. Like if he's on a 53 point pace again, yeah, he's gonna get you shots and stuff. But
I think he does better than 53 points. I think again, when you look at this league or this division, like he's got a couple hard teams to go up against.
Yeah.
Actually, he's got a handful of hard teams, I suppose, but he's got a handful of easy ones too.
I guess if you're in a shots league and a blocks league, he's gonna do good for you. If he's still got 17 power play points, not terrible.
I think he finishes the season in standard Yahoo Cats above 55 ADP or 55 rank.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I'll give you that. I would agree with that for sure. Not counting plus minus though.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
goalies
counting plus
are
minus because
bad people.
goalies
I
are.
don't want to talk about them.
Goalies though. I do want to mention one person if you're in a very deep league or if you're in a dynasty league. They signed Alexei Melnichuk, Russian goalie. Could start, honestly. Could steal a starting role. He's good. Dauber had some really good things to say about him. I read up some things about him and other prospects, like elite prospects and such. Seems like he's
your Joel Pearson of this year.
Yes, this is my Joel Pearson of this year. Okay, I completely forgot that Joel Pearson was even a person until you just reminded me of him. I forgot that he even existed. But you know what? Melnichuk is 22 years old, Russian. Okay, he's been pretty good in Russia. He hasn't had the most fantastic season this year. He did play in SKA last year. Had a 9.30. So he's not bad. He's decent and he's young. He could come in and take the starting role from one of these two bums. Honestly, he could. That's the kind of report. So just someone to watch, someone to pay attention to. Maybe he's better than Dubnyk or Jones. I mean, Jones and Dubnyk are terrible. So that's the thing. That's the reason I'm watching Melnichuk is because the bar to him making the team is really not that high. I mean, Martin Jones had an 8.96 last season. Devin Dubnyk had an 8.90. I love that the Sharks said, you know what? We need to fix our goaltending. So we're going to take our 8.96 goaltender, and we're going to pay someone who had an 8.90 to back him up.
Yep.
It makes
Sounds
no
like a good
sense. That was a great idea. How could it backfire? That's really the only thing I have to say about the goaltenders. I hate Martin Jones. I hate Devin Dubnyk. I like the idea of just kind of watching Melnichuk and seeing what he does in training camp, because word is he could surprise, I guess. Just someone interesting to watch. And I know Brandon's now going to go snipe me in our dynasty and pick him up over me, but whatever. I put that out there.
I hadn't even thought about it, but now I have.
Yeah. Okay, next team. Do you want to take us in?
Sure. The Blues. So
Yes.
these next two teams actually have a bunch of fantasy relevant players,
Yes.
but the Blues are the only one, in the entire division that have fantasy relevant centers?
Yeah.
Is that might be the case? Oh no.
No.
Of course, Colorado.
And you have Andre Kopitar on the Kings.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Two then. But
Two.
they have two fantasy relevant centers in Braden Shen and Ryan O'Reilly.
Yes.
They're Shen is at 80.5. Ryan O'Reilly's at 63.2. I think they both feel pretty good at their ADPs. I think he's going to have to figure his shots out from last season, as he had a huge drop in shots for some reason last season. But he's amazing at faceoffs, and I think he's good in points leagues. Whereas Braden Shen he'll get points, probably not as many as Ryan O'Reilly, I would guess, but he gets shots and hits, and Ryan O'Reilly will not really get them in hits.
Yeah.
They both serve a purpose, and they're both definitely rosterable.
Yeah. What about David Perron? How do you feel about him?
I think he's probably, besides Kessel, he's the most overprojected for power play points, I think.
Interesting. He did get 27 last year.
I know, but it's not really. I don't. He's projected for 21 though. He got 27 in like 70 games, and that was like clearly a high number for him.
Yeah.
But now you've got Mike Hoffman, right? Like, I think if anybody's going to lead the team in power play points, it's probably Hoffman, not Perron this time.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what to think about him. I think at 128, his ADP seems right. I do think that you have to like take into account that considering him relative to other players, like even if you don't think him being projected for 21 is high, when you sort by power play points after the first 5 rounds or something, it's him and Kessel at the top all the time.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's, for the most part, are projected a little bit low in general for power play points, but he seems to outperform a lot of other players that I expect to see above him, including Hoffman, if I remember.
Yeah, Hoffman is definitely projected for less.
I think Hoffman's been rising. He was lower than this when we talked about him before. We've drafted him at least once, maybe twice so far in listener leagues.
I think twice.
Typically a little bit ahead of this. I feel like we draft him in mid-6th or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe right. Yeah. Maybe a few picks before value. So yeah.
I mean, his shots.
87. I think probably 80 is about right value for him.
Yeah. As of today on the practice, let me see what they had slotted up. So they had Braden Shen. Here are the lines: Braden Shen, Ryan O'Reilly, David Perron for the top line. The second line was Jaden Schwartz, Robert Thomas, and Mike Hoffman. Then Mike Hoffman did slot into the top power play. The top power play was Jaden Schwartz, Braden Shen, David Perron, Mike Hoffman, and Torrey Krug, which pushed Ryan O'Reilly to the second power play, actually.
That's not good.
That's not good at all. So the second power play is
sense.
Ryan O'Reilly, Bozak, Thomas, Parayko, and Dunn.
On what planet on this earth do you not put arguably the best face-off guy in the entire league on your top power play?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand that.
Yeah,
win the face-off. That's like one of the most important things to do on the power play. So I kind of have my doubts that they stick with that, but who knows? I'm not a coach.
You are not a coach, believe it or not.
But if I was, Ryan O'Reilly would be my top power play no matter what my team was. Even if just to win the face-off and leave or something.
That does make me... I mean, I like David Perron a lot still, honestly, at that ADP of 128. I love his ADP value of what he can do. I mean, if he can keep that top right wing spot and that top power play spot, I like him a lot this season. And especially with Hoffman shooting the puck, I think I like that even more, right? Mm-hmm. So, because he has someone to pass to. Last year, 67% of his assists on the power play were secondary. So, he doesn't necessarily need to factor in. That's not great, actually, because that could dry up. But it makes it, encouraging to me that, goes to Perron, goes to defenseman, someone shoots the puck, Tarasenko or whoever, or whatever it is, right? So he does factor in to the power play a lot, and if Hoffman can start finishing those for them more, then I think David Perron will get in on them. So I think David Perron is probably the most exciting one at 128 for me on this team. Aside from that, I mean, I'm not super high on like a Robert Thomas or Jaden Schwartz. Jaden Schwartz is a fine option, especially in points leagues. I think I like him more in points leagues than I do in Cats leagues for sure. Wouldn't sleep on him there. I do think, he was on a 66-point pace last year. He was doing really, really well. I think for all intents and purposes in a points league, I wouldn't sleep on him at all. His shots went down a little bit, but otherwise, I love that his power play time went up. He went up to 21 power play points last season versus 5 the year before that. So with the same time on ice, just huge. Not same time on ice on the power play, that went up, but his time on ice just in general went up, and he went from 5 power play points to 21. So big for him. That should help quite a bit. And then there's the defense, which has Torrey Krug and Colton Parayko. I think Torrey Krug is going a little bit too high, personally.
Yeah. I think both of them are.
Yeah.
My point with Torrey Krug, and this isn't necessarily a jab at Torrey Krug, but St. Louis has never been, not since Shattenkirk have we ever really known who's going to be playing top power play at any given time. They've got 3 pretty viable offensive defensemen at this point in Torrey Krug, Colton Parayko, and Vince Dunn.
Justin Falk. Don't you forget elite
and Justin Falk. Like,
power play
I think Falk is
Falk.
done with his offensive defenseman-ness. But
yeah, I agree.
On this team anyway, there's too much. He's too far down the depth chart.
Okay, hold on. If your argument is
Carolina
that
can't ruin him anymore,
is your argument that they are not going to play Torrey Krug on the top power play?
My argument is that while
There
he
is
probably
no
will
way.
play on the top power play, I don't think he plays on the top power play every single game for the entire season because they
What?
like to mix it up for whatever reason.
How about this? How much of the power play percentage do you think Alex Pietrangelo played last season?
I think he played like 58 or something.
Nope, 68, 67. How much of Boston's power play do you think Torrey Krug played last season? And still got 28 power play points up, mind you.
I don't know.
72.
That's a ton. That's more than just about anybody.
They effectively played the same for the most part. Alex Pietrangelo played about 3 minutes average power play time on ice, whereas Torrey Krug played about 3. I want to say I'm converting
that is more
numbers
than I
here.
expected for
Like
Pietrangelo.
3.5. Yeah. So I don't think.
Well, what did Vince Dunn play? Vince Dunn, I think,
Dunn?
played 30 something. What about Parayko?
Let's see. Vince Dunn played about a minute and a half on the power play.
Yeah, so that's like 30 something percent.
So Parayko, 32%. Parayko played no time on the power play last year, just atrociously bad, less than a minute. He only played about 17.5% of the team's power play.
All right,
percentage.
so maybe he does then. But I bet you if you looked at maybe it's the 18-19 season that's stuck in my head, but
yeah,
that
so
one
in the
was just
18-19 season, Alex Pietrangelo played only 58% of the power play time. So
that was the number I said.
Yeah, you did.
But I guess I'm a year ahead or behind or whatever.
But I think that now with the team that they have, and you don't go out and get a guy like Torrey Krug, I think, and not play him extensively on the top power play.
Well, they also signed Vince Dunn to a long-term deal. It was a short-term deal, isn't it? But
play him on the second power play. You have 2 good power play QBs, but at the end of the day, Torrey Krug is a lot better than Vince Dunn, in my opinion. At least right now.
QB stuff, anyway.
Yeah, for QB stuff. So I like Torrey Krug. The thing I don't know if I love his ADP because there's not as much peripherals there, but it does depend on if you
He's
can
still
draft.
a first defenseman for a team at his ADP, which is a little.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know.
I do like him as a first defenseman. You're just going to be in a little bit of trouble. I hope you target like a nurse or something.
League.
But
I wouldn't want him in a Cats league. Not there, anyway.
I've definitely drafted him early though in a Cats league. Had been okay before when he was on Boston.
Yeah. I feel like Boston feels like a more known quantity somehow.
Yeah, that is fair. There is the kind of unknown factor. So I would say that I think at the 70.2, it's not terrible. I don't know. I'm just weird about it. New team and everything. But I think if you took him at 70-ish, you're fine. I've seen him.
I would take Shea
fall
Theodore
a
over Torrey Krug.
You are insane. Are you serious?
I'm not. It's happening again.
My God.
Shea call.
No.
Shea Theodore outpoints Torrey Krug this season. And
you are out of your mind. You are out of
standout
your.
shoots this season.
You think
Maybe
Shea
not out-
Theodore?
I don't think he out power play points necessarily, but I think he outpoints and outshoots them.
You are out of your mind if you think that's happening.
We'll see.
That is nuts. Last season, Torrey Krug was on a 66-point pace. Shea Theodore was on a 53-point pace. That's a big
Time for
gap.
breakout. Yeah, that was also
And
Boston.
Shea just added Pietrangelo.
I'm not that worried about that though.
Wow. You're okay.
Everybody
That's
else
it.
seems to be
I'm
totally freaked out by that, but
all of
I'm
you
just not.
remember that take, please. Keep that in the back of your mind because I think that one's going to come back to bite Brandon. Okay. So the last thing here to talk about there is the goaltender Jordan Binnington. To me, one of the best options, honestly, just because of the division and the fact that he started 50 games last season, and there's nobody to back him up. Who's going to be Ville Husso? Who's his backup?
I mean, you
Who
take
knows?
the Blues out of this, right? And there's 5 bad teams and 2 good ones.
Yes.
So it's a really good scenario for them to be playing in.
Really, really good situation for Binnington. He's probably, honestly, he might be my third favorite goaltender of the season.
I have a lot of shares of Binnington this season.
Yeah, I think he might be my third favorite. Carter Hart,
Yeah.
I like Carter Hart, but Carter Hart has a really hard division. So maybe Binnington falls to fourth. But like, if you take into account just volume as well, I think Binnington gets the volume. It's a good team in front of him, gets the wins, gets a lot of saves. I mean, what is there not to like about Binnington, honestly, this season? Especially with the easy
Postseason,
division.
probably, but besides
His
that,
postseason. But aside from that, I think you look at everything else, and I'm feeling good. He does face only around
I still
26
like-
shots a game, but
I still like Tarasenko as late round stash.
yeah, I don't hate it.
I mean, why not?
Yeah,
But
yeah. And
although
then
I really hate, and I'm gonna take 1 minute to talk about how
Okay,
annoyed I
okay.
am with Yahoo once again. I feel like every
Every
season
year there's
something
something.
weird happens at the beginning of the season. And this season, they listed every player that's obviously hurt to start the season as NA, so that you can't put them in an IR or an IR plus slot.
as if they're
What
not
the hell?
as if they're
So
not
now,
on a
now
team.
if you drafted these players, you can't stash them and do any waiver stuff. You're just stuck. Whereas if you have a guy that like Bobrovsky, who just like was deemed unfit to play, which could mean literally anything, you can move him onto IR plus and grab somebody in the meantime.
It's stupid.
It's
It's very
ridiculous.
stupid.
It's so irritating. This seems to happen every single season.
Yeah. You always have some complaint. I mean, there are at least reasonable complaints, to be fair. And you did go and build your own
This one
fantasy
is like
app,
actually
so like,
annoying. I've never
Yeah.
seen them do this before. It just doesn't make any sense. The whole reason we have
Yeah.
IR plus slots is to avoid stuff like this.
yeah, this one's dumb. Okay, let's move on to the last team here in the California division. And that's the Vegas Golden Knights, who are not in California.
Neither is San Jose Sharks. They're playing in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Ridiculous. Anyways, you take us into Vegas. You love a lot of the guys
Aren't
on
LA
here.
and Anaheim playing in the same stadium or something? I think they're sharing a stadium. I can't remember.
Are
I could
they?
be wrong about that.
I don't remember.
I might be wrong about that. I just remember for some reason in my head I heard this rumor, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to take a victory lap immediately. 2 victory laps. I have 2 victory laps to take on the Golden Knights immediately before we talk about anything about them. And you know who both of them are.
Oh, boy.
Shea Theodore is the obvious one. I called him for a breakout. I said 51 points. He got 53 pace anyway. And the other one is Max Pacioretty.
You were right on Patches, 100%.
I was right on both of them. Everybody hated Patches last season.
They
I don't
did.
know why.
You
he
called
had like
Patches.
a mediocre first season in Vegas. Everybody's like, oh, he sucks. Like, it's so good that the Canadians traded him. They can't use a goal scorer. Like, all this weird stuff. And then he comes out and just lights the world on fire and has like the 3rd most shots in the league and hat tricks every other week. And everybody's like, oh, he can play hockey. I like him now. I'll draft him in the 3rd round. Like, okay. All right. Like, okay. I mean, now you guys are speaking my language, but he's actually getting borderline overvalued.
Yeah, just a bit. I mean, to be fair, though, last season he did only shoot at 10.5%. Like, he was fully on pace with what you'd expect pretty much from him. Expected goals wise, he's actually off by about 7 goals, which is fine. That would still be a great pace. He'd still be on 70-point pace, which is fine. And his power play point percentage,
goal
or
heavy
power
pace,
play
though,
percentage,
which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, I love Patches. I think he's going to be amazing this year again. I agree with you that he's
I usually think
borderline
40 is
overvalued.
Yeah,
it's a
I mean, you get a ton
little
of shots,
bit.
you get good hits. I don't know about the power play points, but
That's the big question mark, isn't it? I mean, he did get 19 last year, but
that's
is
like
that enough?
fine.
It's fine.
It's not
It's
quite
just-
enough.
it's
I would
just
like him to get a few
fine.
more, but
Yeah, I love his shots. I mean, his shots are just out of this world
Yeah.
good. It's ridiculous.
You're not going to find anybody with anything like his shots or even close to it. Well, yeah, now you will. Brendan Gallagher is the other one.
Yeah.
But okay. He's okay. You can put the puck in the net as well as actually shooting the puck. So that's nice.
Okay, and Ovechkin, did you forget he exists?
Yeah, I said his ADP, around his ADP.
Okay, around his ADP, you're right. Yeah, it's
Because
hard
then you
to
got
find.
McKinnon and all that too.
Man, now I would love to do
It's
a
really just
draft where I
Gallagher and
get
Pacioretty
like,
that you can get like as a budget high volume shooter.
would love to get.
By high volume, I mean like 4 shots a game, which is not easy to get.
Man, I would love to do a draft where I get like one of McKinnon or Ovi, and then go Patches and get Gallagher and just demolish everybody in shots. Maybe get Shea Theodore too. Oh,
That would be
sounds
funny.
good. That would be fun. Anyways,
I mean,
so
you'd be full punting a few stats like assists.
yeah, pretty much. But it's okay. Don't worry about it. Who cares? Who needs assists? No one needs those. Well, you could go with McKinnon and get more assists. Oh,
By the way,
geez,
that's been my strategy like every single season. I always dominate in hits or shots rather.
Yeah, shots are your thing. You believe in shots,
I do. Shots make
which
goals.
is true. I mean, if you take shots, you have a chance at assists, and it means you're involved in the offense, which is good.
Yeah.
It's a good sign. The centers all suck.
They do.
They all suck.
I wouldn't take a
except for
single center.
unless you count Marchessault as
I don't.
center.
Come on. I don't even know why he has a designation anymore.
Yeah, I don't know why either. It really makes no sense.
Chandler
but,
Stevenson.
Ugh, top line center, Chandler Stevenson.
I don't know. I expect Cody Glass to be centering them personally, but we'll see.
Just brutal.
I know Stevenson did have some good chemistry though, so maybe he gets a shot at it for now.
Aside from that, really, there's not like
Marchessault. Marchessault has moved up 20 spots from when we called him a sleeper.
wow. That's a lot.
He was 122. Now he's 101.5. He must still be moving up, which makes sense.
Damn. I mean, not
I
surprising.
saw him
He
get
was
drafted
way
in
too low.
6th in my other league that is not full of listener league people, which I think is probably like if you're in a standard league, I think most people are drafting him early and thinking they're like geniuses, which I guess they are for getting him at whatever that value still, because really he's like a 5th or 6th round guy no matter what.
He also, I think, I've watched and listened to some other podcasts and such, and they've also all called March a sleeper. March is like the sleeper that's not a sleeper at this point. Everyone knows about him.
He's the most obvious.
He's the most obvious one that everyone agrees on.
Broken one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that's the most broken for whatever reason. It really makes no sense why he was so low to begin with, or so far down. Then I guess from the other forwards, who else is out there? I mean, Reeves hits.
Yep.
Obviously, that's the obvious one.
Fills out nicely.
Fills out very nicely, 316 hits, and then you have Carrier as well. Also gets you the Pims. Carrier is also a good option. Not as many hits as Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves is just next level. And then on defense, you've got Braden McNabb for the peripherals. A lot of peripherals to be had on Vegas, actually. You got Braden McNabb, who blocks and hits a lot, and he's not a terrible option. So, you also have Alec Martinez for blocks to pay attention to if you ever need to stream them, or you're in a deeper league. And that's kind of it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan.
As well.
Yeah.
He's 150 ADP. I just put he's boring, which
He's boring. He is boring. He's a boring
He's like
man.
a 60-point pace guy with nothing exciting at all.
Yeah, no. And then you've got...
He's one of those guys that like he's probably slightly above replacement, but he's never going to be way above replacement. So
he's a streamer. He's a really above average streamer if you can grab him. There's also William Karlsson, who I don't like.
No, I don't either.
So
defense, this is the contentious moment, I think. Alex Pietrangelo is sitting at 56.3, which is right next to Burns. I know who I'd take. And then Shea Theodore sitting at 91.7. Theodore is falling, which I don't know. But Pietrangelo actually, I think, as well is falling. But I do think that, I mean, I've said this 1,000 times, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But I do think that I don't see why they would take the top power play slot away from Shea Theodore. It doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, considering he had chemistry there.
I will say this. Daily Faceoff updated their lines today. Guess who's top power play?
Shea Theodore.
Yep. Shea Theodore.
Not going to give me that one, Gamby. But,
oh, I know you're excited about that one. Yeah, I can tell. I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can tell how excited you are by that news.
The thing is, I'm not going to sit here and say that Shea Theodore definitely has power play 1 the whole season.
Yeah.
He can lose it. But I don't see why they wouldn't give him the opportunity to have it to begin with.
Yeah.
They're going to get a ton of value out of Pietrangelo, whether or not he's on power play 1. It doesn't Like he'll be worth the cost of admission for him on their team.
Yeah.
If he doesn't score a single goal, like he's just that good. But
And then
for fantasy, like you just don't need to pay that much for him.
yeah, no, I agree. And then we've got the goaltenders. And that's the last bit here. Robin Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury. Lehner 39.4 at the moment. 34.9, sorry.
It's really high.
I don't know. I'd rather have Binnington.
Yeah, I'd rather have him over Marc-Andre Fleury though.
I wouldn't even draft Fleury at this point.
I don't know, but he's at least falling. He's down to 80 ADP. I think he was
80
at
is
60
insane
something.
to me.
Still too high. He's a backup.
Insane to me. Why is he going that high? I don't
He's
understand.
relatively likely to be traded backup.
He got so outplayed in the playoffs. It was ridiculous. He had a 905 in the regular season and played 49 games. Played 49 games in the regular season, had a 905. Robin Lehner played 36 games in the regular season, had a 920 save percentage. Yeah. Which goaltender do you think they're starting?
Robin Lehner is a completely different person.
Yes.
Different person, different goaltender, everything. Since he got help with his mental illness, which he's been very vocal about.
Yes.
I mean, you saw him come over to the island and play amazingly there. He's
played
amazingly everywhere he's been since then.
Went to Chicago, crushed it, earned himself a spot in Vegas. They traded for him, crushed it in Vegas. He's
just
the man.
Good. He's one of the best stories in hockey right now.
And in the playoffs, the reason that Vegas doesn't get eliminated quicker is because of Robin Lehner. He kept them in so many games. It was insane. I don't think they're moving off of him this season. I think Marc-Andre Fleury is I really don't even think he's worth drafting, quite frankly.
No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't draft him either.
Yeah. I don't know why he's even at 80. He is the same value to me as like a Georgiev. I would rather have Georgiev, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't trust Fleury right now. I could regret
I'd
that.
rather have Fleury than
saying
Georgiev,
that, but no.
Still.
Yeah. But there you go. That is the Pacific Division preview. Hope you enjoyed all our previews. You can go back and watch the other ones. Also, be sure to catch our draft strategy episode if you haven't already. Also, our sleepers episode. We'll link those down below. If you're listening to this on podcast, you can go back and find it in some of the prior episodes. And otherwise, be sure to tune in this weekend. We'll be doing a lot of draft content. We'll do a points league, a keepers league, a cats league, all like money leagues too. A lot of really fun stuff. So definitely pay attention to that on our YouTube channel. We'll do some live streams as well to help you do drafts and everything. So just so much coming up this draft weekend. So definitely be tuned into our Twitter at FantasyHockeyPD and our YouTube channel. Otherwise, see you next time. Thanks for listening to Brandon's Hot Takes.
Thanks for listening.
I was wondering if you were going to say thanks for listening. Had to.